Episode 5, The Last of Us. What's that title?
Endure and Survive, based on the
Excellent.
comic book that's in the game.
Excellent.
Or in the show. We'll stick it to the show on this episode.
All right. Well, Max, it's late. It's Saturday. The episode came out on Friday this time. We're tired.
They were very smart by doing that.
You messed up my plans, but yeah, I was smart. Good for them.
Your plans, it's the whole world's plan. It's the Super Bowl. You don't get crushed by the Super Bowl when you have the power to release it early and everybody watch it early.
Oh, man. Okay, well, we're here to talk about it. Let's talk about episode 5. Once again, thank you so much to our Patreon producer, Knight Rider 169. You're an amazing human being. Everybody, thank you for being here. But let's just jump into it. Okay, so this episode might actually be my favorite. I'm still letting it marinate a little bit, but I think this is top notch for me. It's not Emmy Award winning, like episode 3 with the Bill and Frank story and stuff, but this one gets down to business and it starts pretty strong. We get somewhat we didn't get like that soft opening that we were getting from the first 2 episodes that you'd get like the scenes before the credits would roll. But
the intro would roll.
Before the intro would roll. But we did get a 10-day, previously.
Yeah.
Which was kind of nice. It didn't really show exactly what we were hoping for as far as like how the revolution actually happened in Kansas City. You get like the day of the final battle, I guess.
That didn't look like any battle.
It looked like a massacre.
It was basically the final ending of Fedra in Kansas City. And with revolution, sometimes how the oppressor, right, treated the people, it's reciprocated by the people on that. So Kansas City obviously was very brutal.
Right.
And that opening scene was extremely brutal. They're hanging people, they're beating them, stripping them of their clothes. Yeah. They're dragging them through the streets in the back of, pickup trucks, Humvees, whatever it was. So when you see a revolution is that violent, that's because they were being treated that poorly. There was no diplomacy in this. It's not like you guys, we're taking over, you're exiled. No, this was a lot of anger, and it didn't even look like it was just it looked like everybody was participating. Yeah. There were multiple people beating on Fedra soldiers. There were people just, what's that? Point blank range shots. Right. It was pretty brutal. It was quick, but it was powerful. Yeah. In what you saw.
Yeah. And it was interesting because when you look at the previous episode, when they actually, when Joel and Ellie arrive in Kansas City, you see like ashes of bodies, like, it looks like they just burned. Yeah. So I didn't realize even at that time that this is pretty close to when they actually, when they overthrew Fedra. Like it happened just 10 days prior to them arriving there. So I guess good luck or bad luck, depending on how you want to take it.
Yeah.
But all right. So we see this scene and then we see Kathleen interrogating a bunch of people in the I guess it could be like a Fedra prison section again behind a fence. And so she looks like she has all the collaborators that Fedra used during their time in power, right? All the snitches and the rats and stuff. And she's hell bent on getting to Henry. Yeah. Because obviously we know like she blames Henry for what happened to her brother. Yeah. And she's really hell bent on finding him, and she's trying to get that information out of these people to the point where it's like she calls them out on it, where it's like, why aren't you informing? This is what you do. Yeah. Like, go ahead and do it. And then she threatens them that she's going to walk out and they're all going to die. One person actually decides to snitch on Henry, but then also this is the first time that she finds out that the doctor, I think this is the first time we hear his name, Dr. Edelstein?
Yeah, is it Edelstein or Edelman?
I think it's Edelstein.
Edelstein.
Edelstein. Okay. Yeah. Let's just stick with that.
No, that's what it is.
Kyle, if we're wrong, I'm sure you'll message me.
It is Edelstein confirmed.
Confirmed. Okay. Yeah. So this is the first time that she hears about Dr. Edelstein, and that's the person that she shoots in the previous episode. That he was helping Henry and Sam kind of hide out. And she looks a little shocked, right?
Yeah, because she I guess they knew of all the collaborators, and that's who's in this room. And she even mentions that Edelstein did a great job, better than everybody in the room, of concealing.
She's like, better than you fuckers. Like, she literally says something like that.
Yeah, that he concealed, and and it makes sense for him to be a snitch, I guess, because if he's the doctor, he's probably interacting with a ton of people and getting all kinds of information during exams and checkups and things like that. So, but to his thing, he said they put a gun to his head for him to divulge information.
Right.
So it's a tough situation. She did mention that some of the people were snitching because they were getting food. I think she mentioned apples.
Yeah.
She
said food, medicine, and then she makes it kind of like in apples.
And freaking apples, right? Because produce is probably scarce. I know I wouldn't snitch for freaking an apple.
20 years, man. 20 years in that kind of world.
I don't like apples that much. My daughter, she loves apples. She probably would have snitched.
You like apples? How you like these apples? I got a number.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But after they tell her this information, she tells Perry to kill them all anyway and burn the bodies.
Yeah, it's more efficient.
So it's more efficient. So the bodies we saw, we thought that were only Fedra. It's Fedra guys and informants probably mixed into some of those burned bodies.
Right.
So Kathleen is very cold-hearted. She's focused, and she doesn't even want to deal with these people trials. She even mentioned if we got a trial, they'll still be found guilty.
Yeah.
So let's just skip to the chase.
Right. Yeah. So then the next scene, we see Henry and Sam, and they're kind of hiding out in some kind of alleyway, and it looks like they're trying to meet up with Edelstein.
Yeah.
And his hideout, and so they meet up with him at a house. He takes him up into the attic, which is the same attic that we saw in the previous episode.
Yes. And
he's got a bunch of food there for them. And it looks like the three of them are going to hide out there and wait for their first opportunity to kind of sneak away.
And I think he mentioned, Henry mentioned, if they ration the food properly, they could stay, I think he said 11 days or up to 11 days.
Something like that, yeah.
So that's when I think they do the flash forward to 10 days later, right?
Not yet. So what happens is, Edelstein mentions to Henry that Sam. They have a conversation that Sam's scared, and so he kind of tells Henry he sees your face, and so he
sees your fear.
You're kind of leading into the fear, and so he goes over to kind of talk to Sam, and this is the first time we realize that Sam is deaf. He can't hear, and this is different from the video game. Yeah. So Sam can hear in the game, and so this is kind of a different kind of twist on it, which it looks like. I think. The showrunner, it was
Craig who pitched it to Neil,
right?
That said, it would be better if he was deaf to make the dependency even greater between Sam and Henry,
right?
Because they speak obviously a language that not everybody does. So Sam is even more dependent upon Henry, in that sense.
I think it's a great move.
Oh, it's genius.
So he gives.
Don't give those jobs to chimps, man.
so Henry gives Sam some crayons to draw on the wall and stuff, which is the same stuff that you obviously will flash back or flash forward again from the previous episode where you see all these drawings and stuff on the wall and everything. So obviously that was Sam drawing them there.
Yep.
And he gives the stuff to him so that way he can kind of take his mind off of things that's happening outside in the real world.
Because he saw a lot of harsh things that the night, seeing, what they were doing to the Fedra agents.
Right, yeah. So then now we fast forward 10 days later. And all the food's gone. You see Henry kind of looking out the windows. Edelstein's gone.
He went to go get food.
Yeah, and he never came back. And so he kind of so he reassures Sam that Edelstein's gonna be back, right? So then I think it goes to the next night or the next day. Edelstein's still not there. So Henry's like, "All right, Sam, we got to leave. We got to go find food. He's not coming back. Something happened."
Yeah.
So they pack up. And they go downstairs, and right when they go downstairs, you hear a car crash. Yep. He looks out the window, and then he witnesses Joel and the firefight that he had in the previous episode.
Yep.
With Brian and the Goons.
Brian and the Goons.
Right.
Yeah.
And he sees Joel basically just kind of kick ass.
Yep.
So he kind of comes up with, well, we got to get this guy. He's going to help us get out of the city. So now we fast forward again to that night where Joel and Ellie are sleeping in the top of the apartment complex, or
it looked like an office building. It was an office building.
And we did learn some valuable information here. Joel actually did break glass in the hallway, not just in the room.
It still doesn't work.
But didn't work at all anyways.
I think how easy Henry and Sam get through that broken glass now makes me think, like, whenever they did that in movies or TV shows, it was all BS, because it probably does. Because it's like kind of obvious they just walk very carefully around the glass and, you know.
Still, like, there was some noise being made and Ellie didn't hear it either, so it didn't really matter. Yeah. So we can't blame Joel and his deaf ear. It was both of them. So it's fine. So now we fast forward to that scene where Ellie wakes up Joel, and then you have Sam and Henry holding guns on them.
Yes.
And so now we're caught up. Now we're back into real time. So that was our brief flashback kind of thing. And
it was done well.
It was done well. I was, to be honest with you, out of the entire episode, that's the most I was disappointed with, because I felt like there was so much room that they could have told something in that amount of time that I really would have wanted to know. Like, they added this character Kathleen into the show that's not obviously in the video game. So I wanted to kind of see more of her development to get to
well, they're gonna get there in this episode. They give you a little bit more on her.
I mean, I want to see it. You know what I mean? I want to see her brother. I want to see, you know, how she became kind of shitty, I guess would be the best way to say it.
We're diving into a Wednesday episode.
We're diving into a Wednesday episode. But I mean, I would have liked to have seen those things. I'm telling you, I really liked the soft opening so much in the other episodes that I thought that was a formula that was really going to stick around. It would have been so cool to get.
Well, you know, it's different directors
the director's not. I think that's an ultimate choice by the showrunner and ultimate choice by the writers and stuff like that. Look, if I'm looking for things to be disappointed about in this show, that's one of them. And it's not saying making it a bad show. It just means that I would have liked it. Anyways.
Let's leave Wednesday's episode for Wednesday episode.
That's more breaking down current. I don't know.
That's more, anyway, that's a lot of opinions and hopefuls.
Anyways, all right. So now it's the morning. It's the next day. And you see.
Well, before then, I mean, you got to bring up that Henry basically kind of eases Joel. I like that scene where Henry is kind of like, he's not here to hurt them. He wants them to kind of work together, and he's convincing him, like, if I put my gun down, are we going to be cool? Yeah. And Joel is like, we're going to be cool. Like, he's Batman. Right. And Ellie is kind of like hinting at him like, dude, say it nicely, kind of thing. Like,
well, no, because first, like, I think Henry says something like, "Dude, I don't believe you," and she's like, "No, that's just the way he talks."
Yeah, he talks like he's Batman, like he's angry all the time, you know. Right. And so I like that kind of interaction right there between Ellie and Joel and Henry. But basically, Henry. He doesn't want them to be enemies. He wants to work together.
Right. That's why he's there.
Yeah, that's why
he
needs
their help. Right.
Yeah.
And little did I guess Ellie and Joel know that they need their help as well.
Yeah,
so it's kind of a perfect.
They had a little meal.
Couples marriage.
They had a little meal from stuff they got at Bill's place. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know what it looked like. Just some old meat. I don't know.
I don't know. It was. Maybe some more of that ravioli.
No, they said they got it from Bill's.
Bill might have had. Oh, Bill ain't a guy who's making ravioli.
It's must not like some ravioli, man.
Leftover veal or some shit.
Bill has a pasta maker. He's making fresh. Well, Wednesday stuff again. Let's get back on track here.
R.I.P. Bill. R.I.P. Okay, so now they're talking around the conference room and stuff, right? Is that where we're at now?
Well, not quite. He kind of tells him, like, okay, what do you need from us? And he's like, yeah, we're gonna escape.
Yeah, he tells him, like, we've got the tunnels that there's
you're here to see through the thing. And then pretty much now the next morning it's daylight. They're in like a big conference room where you could see out all of pretty much Kansas City from there.
Right.
And that's when he kind of tells him. Henry tells Joel, that he wasn't a snitch, he was an informant.
Right. And Joel says, I don't work with rats. And then Henry comes back and says, you fucking do now. Today you fucking do.
So
it was really good. I really like his delivery on that.
Oh yeah,
today
really you do.
Today you do, yeah.
Like it shows that there's obviously informants in all these QC zones because, and Joel mentions that he heard Kansas City was really harsh, really bad.
He did? Oh, I didn't catch
that. He mentioned like, I heard Kansas City was pretty bad, you know, in terms of how Fedra handled things.
Well, is this the part where Henry tells Joel like how bad it really was, like what Fedra was doing?
That they were raping and they were pretty harsh.
It was like I think you could like compare it to like the mafia or something like that, right? Yeah.
So now Henry tells him the grand scheme that they were going to use tunnels to go that start from like a Bank of America. They can go underground, and because what Perry's group and Kathleen's, you know, the Rebellion, whatever, they don't even have a name, just the Rebellion, we'll call them, right?
We can call them the First Order for all I give a shit.
First Order. They basically got all the highways that circle, you know, Kansas City covered, but there's a little gaps behind the highway. To get through there, they're going to use tunnels, right, to get past there, and then there's a creek with a bridge. Once they pass over the bridge, they're scot-free, right? So the great plan is the tunnels. Now, the reason he wants Joel to come with them is in case there's anything down there.
Yeah, because
that they can handle.
because he saw how Joel handled himself against Brian and the gang.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if there's a clicker or an infected down there, he thinks Joel's going to be the one who's going to handle his shit, because he tells Joel that he's never killed anybody. Yeah. And so that's never been his bag.
Yeah, he's not a violent person. He even mentions to Joel that the guns that they had pointed at him were empty. So it was just all a bluff. And I do appreciate when you said clickers, like he called them clickers, you know, because that was the first time Ellie's heard the word clicker, because he was like, Ellie was describing them, you know, the ones that see in the dark like bats, and he's like, oh, you ran into a clicker? Yeah. And that reconfirmed to Henry that, oh, you guys know how to handle yourself. You survived 2 clickers. Right. You know? Yeah. So that, you know, solidified everything.
You guys are badass. Yeah. All right. So they go in the tunnels, and then they find a settlement down there. Yeah. Like an abandoned settlement. Yeah. And
from the early days of you know, the infection, you know, I guess some people decided to, you know, go underground and not deal with Fedra. So now we got another option. We've been counting options, you know, raiders, slavers, Fedra, you know, on your own, like Bill. And now we found there were people, you know, sewer dwellers.
Right. They decided to go underground because they thought that was their best option. And it looked like they built, I mean, I think they ended up in like a school section. Yeah. I mean, there was like books and stuff around. There was like tables for like learning and shit. Yeah. And like, look, there was like a little soccer goal area in the corner and stuff. It was in the game. I remember that section in the game, and it's pretty cool. There's a lot of stories and stuff that are in there, like
that you could pick up and read and stuff. Yeah,
like it's pretty. Yeah. I'm gonna replay it before our Wednesday's episode, so I can see if I can add anything else to this episode.
But what's cool about this is you start seeing Ellie and Sam bonding. Like they find the comic book that the show is titled after, Endure and Survive, and Ellie, you know, Sam has this little etch-a-sketch, like makeshift I can't say it now.
That's a sketch.
Yeah. See, now it's a tongue twister.
Sketch.
Etch a sketch. Yeah. We're not going to edit that out.
Oh, my God.
I know you're going to leave that in there.
I already forgot about it.
Anyway, that's what he uses to write things out, you know, for people who don't know how to sign. Yeah. And she tells him that she has a whole bunch of volumes of this, and, you know, you can see a nice rapport that they're already building, you know, really quickly. You know, it's 2 kids, and Ellie has a soft spot for the kids. It was a great to see Ellie in that light, right?
Yeah, well, she's been surrounded by adults for a while, you know, kind of hovering over her, imprisoning her, not letting her do her thing. So it was nice to actually, it must have been nice for her to actually have someone that kind of on her level. Yep. So she can mess around with and joke and have fun, and someone like she doesn't have to be so serious with.
Yeah. And then Henry has another great conversation now with Joel. Yeah. And says that, you know, I kind of lied. I did, you know, I have killed somebody. Right. But indirectly, he's referring to Kathleen's brother.
Michael.
Who he said was a great person, would have followed him to anything. Yeah. But he ended up, you know, obviously being a rat, a snitch, because Sam
got leukemia,
and there was a pill that worked really well in curing him, but it was in the hand of Fedra.
Yeah.
So it was
you had to give him something big.
Something big. And who better than the resistance leader to get the medicine to save your brother?
Right.
Sacrificing Kathleen's brother for his brother.
Yeah, and then that scene was kind of cool. Well, in a way, because you get an idea that that Michael, Kathleen's brother, wasn't just a big deal to her.
Yeah,
because I don't think we got that idea in the previous episode.
No, and it gets reconfirmed in the next conversation.
Right, he was a big deal to everybody.
Yeah, he was the leader of the resistance.
Right, and we didn't know that.
Yeah,
so now we do.
Now we do. You know, and he obviously was very charismatic and a good leader in the sense that the way Henry was talking about, he was talking about him very positively and glowing, saying like he would have followed him to anything, right? And so he probably spoke extremely well. It would have been really nice to see, see that, because he sounds like a very, Martin Luther King kind of leader where he spoke great. People kind of admired him and said, okay, there's a rebellion that's rising, right? They didn't do an action, but it was coming.
It's interesting that you said Martin Luther King, because the next scene when Kathleen talks about him, she portrays him as a person who was forgiving. Let's talk about stuff, and so
that scene build it up.
Okay, so let's go to that. So now we see Kathleen. She's in her childhood home. Perry shows up. Makes a Kathleen makes a comment. How'd you find me? And Perry's like, oh, I was talking to your mom, and so she's like, hey, she's over there. But then she starts talking about her brother, and this is like the in that room where they grew up, and like how she would tell stories to her to reassure her that things would be okay. Safe, and blah, blah, blah. And then she kind of realizes that, she's not like that. Like her brother was caring and was thoughtful.
And forgiving.
Because she even says, like, at some point, the last time she talked to her brother was
when
her
he
brother
was locked
in
up.
Fedra. Yeah. And her brother tells her to forgive Henry. Her brother knows that he's there because of Henry.
Yeah.
She knows that he's there because of Henry, and he still tells her, forgive him. Because like I'm assuming that he knew, hey, his brother's about to die. He had to do something.
Exactly.
So he probably knew about the leukemia stuff. That's would have been nice to, actually we're putting this together what we think
based on these conversations.
Right. And so she says, like, I forget the words that she actually uses. We'll pull that for Wednesday.
Yeah.
But in a way, she just says, like, she's not a good person. Yeah. She's never been a good person.
She's not like that.
She's not like him. It's like, so
she can't forgive.
Yeah. She's not going to be like that person who can, like, not forgive, but then talk about stuff. She's an act person. She's I'm going to just go kill you.
Yeah.
Fuck all that other shit. So she's in full on revenge mode.
Yeah.
Which, in another way, I know I'd mentioned this in the last episode, which I kind of wanted there to be a little bit more. Like, they were a close community.
Yeah.
I wanted to see like what relationships were there before. Obviously, people had to go on separate sides.
They did have a good tight, because if you see how Henry was talking about her brother, Henry was obviously part of the resistance, because he said he would have followed him to whatever ends of the earth kind of thing, right? So Kathleen knew Henry.
Right.
Definitely, because if Henry is hovering, Henry had to been close to, what's the brother's name? Michael? Had to be close to Michael for him to be able to deliver him to Fedra. He must know his routine, where he's camped at, all those kind of things. So Kathleen obviously knows Henry is close with Michael. So, so that's what makes it even more, the rage is even more, because Kathleen probably, I'm just assuming, they probably broke bread together. They probably, interacted before. And then now you're the one who goes and snitches and gets my brother locked up. That it's even fuels that anger even more, that revenge. And then Perry says something great in there. He's like, we all loved Michael. He was a great man, but he didn't get anything done. It sounds like Michael was more diplomatic and maybe more, maybe a great speaker and getting people into that mindset of this is not right. We need to do. But Kathleen came and she went the other way. She was more of an act. She was more of let's not to go too civil rights here. It sounded like Michael was Martin Luther King. Kathleen is a little bit more Malcolm X. Yeah, in her approach. And Perry credited her. It's like Michael didn't get the revolution to win. You did. You're the one that made us win.
Right.
Take action and, push forward and get Fedra out.
Yeah, but it also seems like she used her rage for what happened to her brother.
Yeah,
to motivate everybody else. So in a way, if you think about it, it kind of was the brother, because if the brother doesn't die, or all that shit doesn't happen
becomes
to him,
a martyr.
Then everything else doesn't fall into place for them.
Yeah. Maybe the brother knew this too. He's like, hey, I'll sacrifice myself to, that's why he probably said, forgive Henry, because me dying or me getting executed is going to fuel this revolution that's going to overtake Fedra. You don't need to blame Henry for this. This is all part of the grand plan. It's Judas and Jesus, right? Christ right here.
Oh, man.
Like if you want to go even deeper, right?
Right.
It's like Henry served the purpose here, and forgive him, because this act is going to get us the result that we wanted, and I'm willing to sacrifice myself for that. There could have been something like that if you want to go really deep.
So then we can go even farther, and then if she would have actually listened to him and forgave Henry.
Oh, don't go too much.
Then maybe
talk about
everything
it.
else. All right,
let's get to it. Let's get to it.
All right. So now
we cut back to our heroes.
Our heroes. So they're out of the tunnels.
Yeah.
They're on the other side of the freeway.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting a little.
It's like a little community, like a suburb community, close to the city but outside of the city.
Right. It's like Santa Clarita or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So Henry's getting a little cocky. Seems like, my plan worked. Just gotta make it right here. We could be as loud as we want. We can talk and do whatever we need.
Joel's still a little cautious,
as he should be, because it's Joel.
He's been through some stuff.
And then you get to see the greatest shot in the history of any sniper out there.
10 yards away.
Man, it was a bad shot.
Maybe it was a warning shot.
Maybe the guy's been sitting there forever with nothing to do.
Dude was as old as Methuselah.
He's been drinking. Hands a little shaky.
Yeah.
Doesn't know what's going on.
Dude looked like he was 80.
Yeah. So sniper fires off of a shot into Joel and the gang. And it's,
they take cover.
They take cover. Joel realizes, this guy's a really bad shot. He's not going to hit me. I'm going to go sneak over there. Flank him and take him out. And if there's a scene in the movie where you're kind of like, or in the TV show, you're kind of like, what the fuck just happened? This will be that moment. The guy clearly sees Joel advancing on him. He's trying to shoot Joel as he's getting closer. And at some point, he can't shoot Joel anymore because he's too close to the house.
Yeah.
So any human being, I'm assuming, would maybe turn around and defend their backside. This guy continues to still just like, I can't get that guy anymore. I'm going to shoot like blind fire into everybody else. So Joel just comes up behind him.
But before then.
There's a before then?
Before that point,
what?
Joel gets to, right by the house, and he sees in the distance the creek or river, whatever it is, and the bridge. And he does a look like, I didn't see that. Dip, I can leave and screw all this. Let me just go find a battery and get my brother.
Gotta get the battery.
It's a brief little look, hesitate, and then he's like, I'm gonna stick and go protect the kids and Ellie.
I missed that.
Look at the scene. He kind of looks, and it's like
I'm gonna be honest with you. I watched that scene at 1:00 in the morning on my phone with earbuds in. I yawned probably right there. I missed that. I got to go back.
Yeah,
I'll notice it for Wednesday.
And maybe to play devil's advocate, the snipers thought maybe he got away. He's not gonna come in here. But a smart sniper would be like, let me at least put what remember those Counter-Strike, a claymore?
Maybe.
So as soon as he opens the door, boom.
Or maybe he should have broke a bunch of glass behind him so he could have heard someone coming up behind.
Yeah, so Joel kills the guy. Well, actually, he gives him a chance. Put the gun down, and the guy's not having it.
Like, don't do it.
Don't do it. He gets shot.
Smack you like a battery.
Now, Joel hears, a radio, and the guy already called Kathleen and the crew, and she's
sweet, lovely Kathleen.
Kathleen's like, we're right down the street.
Hold them there. We're on our way.
Yeah, that's exactly the line, I think.
I don't think it is.
No. And now you see Kathleen barreling down with a convoy and this huge truck with like a snowplow kind of, reverse snowplow battering ram. What does it say on it? Run?
Maybe.
That's for Wednesday.
That's I yawned again.
Now Joel is trying to shoot them, like to stop them.
Right.
And they're ripping through cars in the street, creating a path for Kathleen and her crew.
Yep.
Joel finally hits them. They crash into a house, and boom, it explodes, right? So now Kathleen and the crew come in, and she tells a group to go flank Joel. Whatever happened to those guys? I gotta look it back on for Wednesday's episode, because there were a few guys who went to go flank Joel.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Right? Yeah.
Wait, did I remember that? Was that my third yawn?
I'm assuming I'll touch about those guys in a little bit. But now Kathleen comes out, and Henry and Sam and Ellie are hiding behind a car, and Kathleen is like telling Henry to come out. You know, we got you. Henry is not.
Does she know he's about? Because
no,
that was kind of weird. Like
she doesn't know exactly where he is until he stands up, puts his hands up.
But he's like yelling, and the car is like on her right.
On her right side.
There.
It's kind of dark.
She's still kind of like,
So he puts his arms up. He's like, because he's trying to save the kids, and she has a conversation with him briefly, saying like, maybe Sam was supposed to die. You sacrificed my brother for your brother, and basically Kathleen made it implied that she's gonna kill him, the Sam, and the people they're with.
She don't give a
Brian
shit.
And those people.
She doesn't care.
Right when she pulls out the gun, that big truck that Joel had shot the driver, and they crashed and tore down a house and exploded, it kind of falls down like into a sinkhole, and you hear the sound of the infected. And this is one of the coolest scenes. Like, what was it with last episode we were talking about comparing The Walking Dead a little bit to this?
Yeah.
Walking Dead, the zombies.
I had the same conversation with my wife. Yep.
They're slow as dirt. You can walk around and knock them out. These guys came out like they were demons coming out of hell. They bum rushed them.
Yeah, it was like World War Z.
Yes, I just watched that the other night.
It's good.
I love that movie.
Yeah,
I love that movie actually. They came rushing out. So now it's total chaos. The soldiers are just shooting, the infected. Forget Henry and those guys.
And they got some badass guns too.
Yeah, they got like real, not little pea shooters, bolt rifles.
They didn't grab a bolt rifle.
like one, like Joel.
2.
They have automatics and semi-automatics.
Yeah,
they're wailing away. Joel starts to kind of like snipe and protect the kids, and I love this scene because it's like Ellie and Joel are like freaking simpatico here. They're in sync, like with they briefly kind of like look at each other, but obviously she can't see him from the window she's in, but it's kind of like they were in sync. Like, so Joel notices a window in a car that's open. She sees it and she beelines to it, and Joel is picking off infected, clearing a path for her. She jumps in, and this super gymnastic kind of little girl comes in there with her. Right? So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like The Ring or something.
Yeah, she jumps out of there. Joel's picking people off. Joel all of a sudden is an excellent marksman.
Yeah,
with
good job,
with
Joel.
the scope.
Right?
He just needed a scope, right?
That's why. Yep.
But then all of a sudden, the big boy comes out of the ground.
Yeah, the bloater.
Oh man, and he is huge. Like if for those who didn't play the game, bloaters are one of the rarest in the games, and it's basically somebody who's been affected for an extremely long time, where the fungus just, as you can see, it just surrounds their whole body almost like an armor. So they, like regular gunfire, just kind of nothing to them.
Yeah, and then so in the last episode when Perry takes Kathleen to the basement of where Henry and Sam were hiding out, we see it bulging. We thought it was going to be a bloater.
Yeah.
But I don't think that was a bloater there. I think that was just a horde.
Yeah.
Like horde. What are
a big nest.
Yeah, it's a big nest of infected and like pulsating, almost like I guess a living artery. I guess that would be the way you say it. And it seemed like that whole thing, because that was way in the city.
Yeah.
And I feel like that might have been connected all the way out to
maybe they heard the explosion and the sound. And remember, Henry had told Joel that Fedra had pushed all the infected down into the sewer and eliminated them, some of them, at some point as well. He mentioned that a soldier told him that they had gone down there and eliminated a lot of the infected that they had pushed down into.
I don't know, like how Fedra could have possibly done that, because considering, I mean, I guess we like baiting with other little kids or something.
No, other people, and then get them out or sacrifice. I don't know.
Maybe, but seeing how they advanced on Kathleen's crew, that I don't see how they possibly could have done
they
that.
Were aggressive.
That's the first, that was the first time you can see how, they were taking over cities. The infected were in such a mass quantity. Like you touched on with The Walking Dead, how they're all super slow and you can walk around them. Well, that was one thing about the Walking Dead shows. It's like, dude, they're so slow. You can see them walking down the freeway. I'm like, oh, here comes some walkers. Let's build a wall. It'll take us a couple hours, but we'll have it done before they get here. Yeah, so it was kind of like you wiped out the whole world this way, where in this show you can see how that could happen, because they were flying at these guys, super aggressive.
They were jumping. They were they were hauling it. They were not playing games.
So how Fedra could possibly have pushed that them down? I mean, I'd love to see that in a flashback. And how that happened.
That would have been cool. So now Joel is picking them off. And the bloater is killing everybody, ripping people apart.
Did we already get to the part though when Ellie gets out of the car though?
Yeah.
But then she sees Sam.
Oh yeah, and
Henry
under the car.
Right, and so she goes and
she takes out the knife.
So this is actually kind of from the game.
Yeah.
So in the game, you make shivs in the game, and so you can go behind the infected and then even and clickers and stuff. And you stab them, and that's kind of it.
She catches two of them.
She catches two of them, stabs them in the neck.
Yep.
And so it's kind of they kind of dropped pretty easily.
Yeah,
you think how crazy they were, they would still maybe fling around for a little bit. But I thought that was kind of cool. Joel knew what she was going to do.
Yeah, he's protecting her, her blind spot. Yeah. He's picking people off. Yeah. So those three kind of get up.
It felt very video game-ish.
It was pretty cool. It was really cool. Yeah. So now those three are starting to get out of their trouble, and you see Perry and Kathleen, and the bloater's coming, and Perry's
I'm going to kill myself right now.
Well, he didn't say that quite.
He basically said that. His
actions did that.
I'm going to kill myself right now.
He tells Kathleen to leave, because Kathleen, you're technically the leader of this resistance. Your high priority is get the hell out of here.
They both could have left. He was
going to give her time to leave, because the bloater was moving too. So he starts shooting, and it's not doing anything, and he gets an epic death. The bloater literally rips his freaking head off.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
I feel like they both could have ran.
So now you think Kathleen is gone?
No, you don't.
Right? Well, she ran away the other direction.
I think we've come to the conclusion that Kathleen is such a lunatic. So bent on
what's that line from
revenge?
What's the line from Black Panther Wakanda that Shuri says? Revenge has consumed me. That's exactly what it is.
Completely consumed her.
It's consumed her.
At no point did I think that she left the scene for to go fight another day. You knew that she's still gonna stick around.
Yeah, I mentioned it last episode. She's like freaking Moby Dick and Captain Ahab. She is dead set on this.
It's kind of, and if you look at her character, it's really disappointing that her character is that way, because I feel like
it's compelling though. I can't wait to talk about it on Wednesday.
It's disappointing. It's really disappointing. I really wish there was more to the story a little bit, about I mean, I guess there's
she's
enough
only
there.
A guest star for 2 episodes, man. She's not a big anyway. So now she stops Henry, Ellie, and Sam right at their tracks, right when they're about to get behind to go to the bridge.
And like a villain, she's got to start talking.
She has to start talking.
She's monologuing.
Yeah.
She starts monologuing.
And then Ellie looks to her left, and she realizes Ellie is looking. She has her gun out. And was it the same gymnast
I thought that. Because I was trying, because they had some special shirt on or something like that.
Yeah,
I think it
look
was.
At it on Wednesday.
Yeah, we're going to look at that. I'm pretty sure it was.
The kid infected jumps on her, starts wailing UFC style, wailing on her, and then starts to basically.
She's trying to tap out. It's not happening.
Not happening. And she's done. The three of them escape off. Joel obviously comes out, and they are quote unquote scot-free. And Kansas City now, after having Kansas City under rebellion rule for, I did air quotes like we're on television or recording this.
I saw
that
it.
Everybody can't see these air quotes.
They're so powerful.
They come through on the podcast.
Listen.
Yeah, that's not going to work. That they had it for like 11 days, almost 12 days. And in 12 days, the infected has probably overrun all Kansas. Kansas City is gone.
Did you notice how, like, at the end of that fight, they all just started going towards Kansas City?
Yeah. They're gone. Kansas City's finished.
Well, yeah, but why did they start heading over to Kansas City though?
Because that's where more people are.
But how did they
hear them, they feel them, all that kind of stuff. Maybe that
other pulsating thing opened up, and then they discovered like they're all communicating.
Yeah, Kansas City is a wrap. I can't wait to discuss this further in terms of leadership with Kathleen on Wednesday. We'll leave that alone. Flash forward, the heroes, Joel, Sam, Henry, and Ellie, they're now like in a motel. Closest thing we could think
Motel
of.
6. Maybe it was a red roof or something.
Yeah.
They tried to keep the light on for us.
Yeah. The kids are in a room. Henry and Joel have a nice conversation again. Joel offers for them to come with them to Wyoming. Henry accepts, says, I'm going to tell Sam about it in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
They have a nice little bonding where Joel kind of says it's different for kids because they don't have anybody that relies on them, but for him and Henry, they have people who rely on them, Ellie and Sam.
Right.
I think Neil said that they did this episode for Henry and Sam to mirror Joel and Ellie. And they did a great job.
Well, I kind of got that. Even when I played the game, you kind of get that as well.
Yeah,
like they're a mirror of each other.
They're a mirror. And to me, what they did in episode 3, Bill was mirroring Joel in a sense, right? Because of, I know you don't like that part, but that's what it is. I'm telling you.
I did air quotes.
Air quotes, but that's what it is.
Okay.
You're not going to say it. It's still not going to accept that. Anyway, so now they cut to the kids in the room and, they're having a nice little brief conversation. This is very important, right?
Yeah.
They're writing stuff in their little extra sketch. I said it right.
Etch a sketch.
I said it right, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're writing in there, and then we'll see on Wednesday exactly what he wrote. But Henry wrote something to the effect of having a monster inside.
Yeah.
And he shows her his leg, and he's been bitten.
Yeah.
And Ellie tells him, my blood might be able to save you. She pulls out her knife, cuts her hand, and starts putting her blood on the wound and spreading it in there, like massaging it in there like freaking ointment.
So I thought, like, even for a split second, because I mean, I haven't played the game in a while. I don't remember if they even find out that he's bitten prior to him turning in the game. But I thought that was interesting that she actually cut herself and tried to put her blood on there, thinking that it was an antidote.
Yeah.
And then I thought, what if they actually go a different route and they actually make it so it could have actually saved his life?
Yeah.
What would they, like, how would the show kind of like made turns and whatever?
Well, Wednesday when you play, you'll find out exactly how it plays out and we'll compare the two. That'll be fun.
Yeah. But obviously that's not the case.
No.
But she's very confident that it could, because she ends up falling asleep in the room with him.
She says that he asks her
to stay
up with him, right? They both decide not to tell Henry and Joel, who are in the other room, doors closed.
Dumbass kids.
Right? Ellie, next scene we see, Ellie wakes up, sunlight, and Sam is basically just staring outside the window.
Mm-hmm.
And she walks up to him, and he's turned. He attacks her. They push through the door. Now, Joel and Henry are startled by this. Henry gets the gun.
Gets to the gun before Joel
does.
Yeah,
tells
Joel's
him,
gun.
Yeah, just go, because his gun was an empty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was a fake. Not a fake, but it didn't have any bullets. Tells Joel to back up. And in all the craziness, he shoots Sam almost like like, this is what you're supposed to do in this world. It's an infected, shoot it. Yeah, and then after he shoots it, that's when his mind goes, what did I do? Because he just realized I just killed my brother.
Right.
And he can't handle, like it was good that he kind of reacted instead of thinking like, what should I do? Because everybody's kind of been trained, or mindset is an infected, shoot it, right?
Right.
So he does, his first reaction is to shoot it. Then he realizes, oh my goodness, I didn't shoot it, I shot Sam. And then he can't handle it and he shoots himself. And Ellie, this time, watching this, instead of being, previously when she saw someone die, she wasn't enamored. She was horrified by it because she's obviously has a relationship now with Henry, and seeing somebody kill themselves like that is pretty harsh.
Yeah.
You could see it in her reaction, in her face.
Yeah, it was a very obviously emotional scene. Yeah. It sucked. It's one of those things like, I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And even then, it still doesn't kind of prepare you for it to actually happen, like watching it.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know, like, you looked at, like, we've seen Ellie throughout these episodes, and this is, like, seeing how she's acted towards, like, the violent stuff itself. Like, she acted towards Joel, and she acted, like, when she finds the infected guy in the basement of the convenience store or whatever. And she has all these little different, like, ways to react to certain things, and how she's kind of, like, held herself characterized or whatever. And I've always found it annoying.
Yeah.
I would say this episode, not one time did I find her annoying.
Yeah.
And that I felt really bad for her. And this is the first time I've actually, like, kind of, not say related to her, because there's no way I can relate to any single thing that she's fucking doing, but just kind of like how I can sympathize for what's actually happening to her. And she made, like, I don't even know if I'm even saying it right. It's 2:00 in the morning now. I don't even know.
She was genuine.
She was just genuine.
A little upset with that.
Yeah, and, I mean, because obviously, you mentioned it. You mentioned all the key points, the relationships and everything. Like, I think she also probably found a buddy that she thought she was going to travel with now. That she had something that she was like, for all the.
It's only been what, a day and a half? Maybe 2 days.
But that's a lot for her.
Yeah, it was good. It was great. They built quick rapport. Yeah, the three of them.
She's been reaching out to Joel, and Joel hasn't been reaching out back to her. That
slowly,
but not as much as obviously
this
she's
was
wanted.
Immediate. They kind of hit it off right away.
And so, and then to have that taken away from her, and then also there's probably something inside of her where
she feels like she failed.
Yeah, like she thought maybe her blood, because she it's she's going to meet up with the Fireflies. With scientists, they're supposed to
be the savior of the world.
Savior of the world, cure, whatever. She thought maybe she could save this kid, to a point where she still stayed in the room with him.
Yeah.
Just in case that he turned, thinking that, maybe it would have worked. So now it all kind of crashed down in that scene.
Then they show you them burying Henry and Sam, like right out there, right outside the motel, and she takes the Etch-a-Sketch and she writes, "I'm sorry." Basically drops, Joel's backpack and says, "Let's go." We got place to go. And I think she's kind of to me, it's like she got she's refocused because she feels like she failed, and she now has a purpose to.
I think she's more motivated to get there and see what the scientists can do to help everybody out.
And then you see Joel's face, like they had a great zoom in on Joel, and you see Ellie kind of faded in the background walking away, and it's like a face of worry. I think in watching some of the things from the showrunners, that they said that Joel, feels like, because Henry and Sam was mirroring them, that this might be how it ends up with him, that Ellie's going to be the one that passes away like Sam, and he doesn't want to have another loss. It's like, so he's generally worried, because when he was doing the sniping, he was really protecting her. Like he was not missing. He was like on it. Yeah. So I think now he's really on that I got to protect this little girl. He has some kind of emotion for her, right? It's obvious at this point. They're traveling together, and he's protecting her. But now that was a sharp. It was a sharp reminder of the world that they live in, and how quickly things can turn. Like, everything was great, and then just like that, it's I'm burying these people.
Yeah, and you just got to just pick up what you had and just kind of keep moving and let it go.
Yeah, that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of my favorite episodes. I know there's only been 5.
This is my favorite. It's my favorite.
This might be my favorite. I'm gonna obviously rewatch it again before Wednesday. I think this episode had the whole package, where, like, everybody liked episode 3 because it told this love story, and it was very deep and emotional, and it was tragic, but yet beautiful at the same time because they got to spend their life together. Yeah. This one had tragedy. It had, you know, it had the action. It kind of had the best of both worlds.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was ideal for, you know, in that sense.
It had a love story in the sense of two brothers, you know, trying to protect, like one trying to protect the other, playing the father figure. And then you see what they went through. You hear what they went through, what he did in order, like, especially like you look at the whole package for about Henry for a second, how Henry betrayed someone that he looked up to, that he would have followed around to the ends of the earth or whatever he said to save his brother from leukemia, to do all these things to, in a way, if we're right though, is what kind of like sparked and finished the revolution because of what he did. The death of Michael leads to Kathleen taking over for the revolution.
And her revenge is based off of love, too. She obviously really loved her brother.
And her revenge is based off of love.
Yeah.
And then you kind of see it all come around where it's like, you did all these things. Every single thing happened to Kansas City. And in a way, you guys all it killed all of you because of your love. If you look at it in a way where it's like, Henry still dies. Or Henry dies. Sam still dies. Kathleen dies. Michael died. Perry died. Everybody in Kansas City is pretty much probably dead right now.
Oh, Kansas City's
all this shit,
up.
And you just got to keep moving. I don't know where it's going with this. Like I said, it's late.
No, it's good. I mean, this show so far has introduced us some really good actors, especially these kid actors. Like a shout out to Kevon Woodard, who played Sam. He's actually deaf
it's really
in real
good.
life.
Yeah,
he was phenomenal in this. I think he's going to get a ton of new roles. Lamar Johnson, who plays Henry, was great in his role too. I thought Kathleen was awesome. You know, aka shout out to Rose, 2.5 Men. I thought she did great.
Rose.
Perry, aka Video Game Tommy. You know, I wish we had a little bit more of him, but he played his role well. So those four did really great in these last 2 episodes. Yeah. It's too bad we won't see more of them. Maybe in a flashback one day.
But guess what? We could talk more about them though,
on Wednesday. And we will. And I got so much to I'm gonna bring up Perry's blind following of his leader Kathleen's poor leadership.
Save it for Wednesday. Save it for Wednesday. All right. Well, let's wrap this up. Thank you so much, everybody, for sticking with us and tuning in. We're thinking like it's radio. Thanks for tuning in. It's late, man.
Maybe people are listening on iHeartRadio. It has radio in its name.
Ooh, there you go. Well, thank you so much. Thanks again to our Patreon producer, Knight Rider 169. And just like him, if you guys want to, if you want to help us out, head over to our Patreon page, patreon.com/rotyourbrainmedia. And, help us out with some coffee. Maybe help us keep the lights on. We're spitballing some new ideas for shows and stuff. We got something that might be coming out again, a new show in maybe a month or so. It'll be more involved with the community that we're hopefully growing with you. So be on the lookout for that. We'll keep you guys informed. Thanks again. Don't remind, part 2 of the Star Wars conversation we had on Still Holds Up is going to be launching the day after this episode. Yep, so that's right. Awesome. We had part 2. In case you didn't know, we did on Still Holds Up, we did the prequel trilogy for Star Wars, and gets pretty nerdy. I enjoyed it a lot, but it was so nerdy that we had to break it into 2 parts. So part 1 is already out there right now. And part 2's dropping the day after this episode.
Super nerdy, and you enjoyed it, so
I loved it. We're going to be doing a lot more nerd stuff like that. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, boy.
So thank you guys so much, and we'll catch you next time.
All right.
Music composed by Kyle Torme. Additional bed music composed by Jason Zaffrey. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Last of Us, a Rot Your Brain podcast. Subscribe to The Last of Us podcast feed at rotyourbrainmedia.com/The Last of Us. Follow us on Twitter at @rot_yourbrain and support Rot Your Brain Media and its podcast by being a part of this exciting new and growing community. Visit patreon.com/rotyourbrainmedia.